It's the lockpicking game. Now, another aspect of this game is you have food. That's not what they're important for. You'll notice they have little effects there. This is to do with alchemy. You can make potions or poisons, and poisons you can apply to your weapons using alchemy. A very powerful tool. Notice how that's a very bad ratio, but it's worth a lot, so I'm getting rid of it. But anyway, alchemy, very powerful tool. If you grab it, it's very useful. You go around picking herbs, you know what they do, and you make poisons. Because a lot of people just make damage poisons. Well, I make a lot of damage poisons. This game is a multiplayer, so I don't know other people's tendencies. But later on in the game, you get some incredibly powerful poisons. You just swing at someone and run away, and 10 seconds later they die. You get to loot the corpse. All fun and games. But I'm going for more of the sort of brute approach. Whack it till it's dead. Oh yes, and you can have alcohol, which drains stats but gives you stats in return. Good fun. And to new viewers, there is an awful drug in this game called skooma, which you could say is the Elder Scrolls, which is this series version of, well, I guess methamphetamines. It's absolutely terrible for you and screws you over completely. In the long run, at the start it's like, oh yeah, I have all this strength because I'm taking this awesome drug. And then you turn into a gibbering wreck. For a long period of time, like the debuffs last a lot longer than the buffs. So anyway, what you're seeing me do here is I'm picking mushrooms. This acts just like food. It has nice little effects, particularly wisps, stalk, caps. It has damage health. Damage health is always good. You can find a particular herb later on called nightshade. You mix it with nightshade and you get a nice little damaging poison. Whee! Skull piles! Where they get all these skulls from, I have no clue. Because frankly, this is an abandoned underneath jail cell. So you get prisoners randomly wandering in and killing themselves constantly. So, naturally, as per most role-playing games, the red bar is your health, the blue bar is your mana. I'm casting a rather weak heal spell there. It just told me to drink potions. And there's a bit of general looting. A lot of general loot in this game isn't really worth picking up. And then we have a goblin. Just told me to sneak. I'll show you what sneaking is like, just for the hell of it. You get a little crosshair that turns into an eye. If they know you're there, it turns bright. So anyway, you walk up behind them. You give them a slap with your sword. You get like 6 times damage. Now, bows only do 3 times damage with sneak attacks. Oh, that was only 4. It depends on your level of sneak skill anyway. But the thing about bows is you can abuse terrain. Like, if the monster doesn't see you after it gets hit, they won't. So when you have a bow, you kind of sneak around the corner, throw a punch shot, hide behind the corner until they bugger off. Do it again, do it again, do it again. Which is stupid powerful. Well, it's really useful. If you're good at it. If you're not too good at it, well, don't try, because it's... Or if you're impatient, because it's a really long process of just poking your head around. But it is the safer way to kill things, considering how much health stuff has. Just to put it in perspective, a sleeping person, if you sneak attack them, if they're the right person, they'll just like get up, walk outside, and the guards will horribly, horribly maim you. Now, what I'm doing here is a bit of alchemy. Now, it only shows, at the start of the game, it only shows you what can mix with what. But by the end game, you can actually figure out some combinations on your own to see what potions do. It'll only tell you, basically you need 2 items that do the same effect, such as, well, whisk stop caps and that horn thing I had. You mix them together, you get a damage potion. Now, you see all those unknown effects. If you find something, that has those effects, but you don't know them, and you mix them together and you get something, that's always a pleasant surprise, and it will work. But the actual game will only show you, unless you click the view all button, will only show you combinations that are possible to what you know. If you discover something, it still classes it as you don't know for some awkward reason. So this is an example of the power of physics objects in this game. You can commonly find traps and just knock them over. There are 2 goblins there. Bang, dead. Just 1 log, and they go flying. There's a couple of nasty traps in this game that can one-shot you. I think the worst is, well, the rockfall traps. The easiest is these things that look really brutal. They send you flying up into the air. It's basically a platform that goes up or down, and when it goes up, there's spikes on top of you, and when it goes down, there's spikes on the bottom. Over encumbered. And smacks you, but it does, like, no damage, as opposed to the rockfall trap, which just crushes you under large stones, basically. Which, also, after they're fired, they have the strangest physics. If you have corpses under the rockfalls, the physics are screwed up, utterly. What we have here is our first little sort of warrior goblin. Monsters will block you, they will run away, they will use tactics. You have to keep this in mind when playing the game, because sometimes if you hit a blocked enemy, they take advantage of it and they can beat the flying crap out of you if they're a powerful monster. So I'm letting the rats out here. And we have our first caster over there. Ooh. It's a goblin. Ah, he's shooting me with lightning bolts. If you could see that. So if I just... Monsters also aim retroactively. If you move, they aim where you move. They'll aim in front of you, behind you, whatever it needs to hit you, so... The only way you can really dodge is if you trick them into going a different direction. Like, he'll just overshoot them. Because this is a caster, you can just beat the flying crap out of him before he kills you. Because caster, things like this are... This is another basic thing of the game. Enchanted weapons. Armor, when enchanted, gives you passive effects. Weapons... Staves shoot stuff, swords and arrows and whatnot. When you hit something with it, the effect goes off. The only problem with this is it has a certain amount of charges, as you can see there. And in order to recharge the weapon, you need soul gems with souls in them. And you can fill the souls up. You can fill them up with souls using certain spells. Like, before you kill an enemy, you cast a spell on him. When you kill him, he goes into a soul gem. Now, as a warrior, it's harder to get these soul gems, so I'm probably going to take the school of magic that lets me, well, trap souls. Because you want to be able to get these souls, they're incredibly important. Particularly for late games warrior, when all your weapons are enchanted and you just go whack, 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 it runs out of charges. If you're fighting a ghost without a silver weapon, because undead ghosts can only be really hit by silver weapons. Unless the weapon's enchanted, then the enchanted effect hits them. So if you don't have a silver weapon, and you don't have a, well, or an enchanted weapon, and you come across a ghost, the whole process is incredibly painful. Notice how that does more damage now because I have more skill in swords. I'm probably going to end up using swords because naturally, in all games, there are a lot more swords than there are axes, even though I prefer axes. So I'm going to go down here and see what happened. And I forgot how to put a weapon away. There was something you can do to put weapons away. Oh yeah, there we are. So anyway, this is the start of the game. It's not over quite yet.